Kia ora, and welcome to the Beer Jerk Beer of the Week Drink Along. I'm Luke.
And I'm Matt, and we're here with another Small Gods beer.
We are indeed. It's a bit of a special Small Gods beer, and it is a very, very long time in the making. So the reason Matt's here is because Matt's the Small Gods guy, and so am I. So this beer, Living with Intent to Survive, is the fraternal sibling to Siding with Chaos Against Good Order, which is this white can. So they're, as I say, fraternal siblings. They're almost identical, but with one quite big difference. So this was very much the sticking with the baby analogy. The Matt's gutted, sucks to be you, or me rather. Swap. Matt is going to a beer drinking session after this. So that's the reason you're out. So anyway, so this pair of twins being your child, really, Matt. What was the idea behind these beautiful beers?
Yeah, well, so these twins are actually the children of another Small Gods beer, which is What Can the Harvest Hope For? So, to take you back in time,
how long have we got for this video? Yeah. This is quite a story.
Take you back in time, about, what, 15 months ago, I think, 16 months ago, something like that. I haven't done any research for this, I've just shut up and sat down. We brewed a collaboration New Zealand Pilsner with a bunch of New Zealand ingredient manufacturers, Gladfield, Froth, and Freestyle hops. And that was a 100% New Zealand grown Pilsner. And at the time, the place we wanted to brew that had a twice as much capacity as we wanted to use. So we had the idea of releasing half of that beer, then taking the other half and turning it into something new. So that is these two Brett Pilsners.
And that beer was, we had a single batch of Motueka hops there that Freestyle Hops selected for us. Yeah. And it was just gorgeous. It's one of my favorite hops anyway. But of course, like any agricultural product, not all Motueka hops taste the same. So we've got a really choice batch. And then by creating this, it completely killed the hop character. There's a little bit of hop character in there.
I don't think it killed the hop character.
But it's a world of difference to that fresh hoppiness in the Pilsner. It's totally transformed it.
It has. So what we've done is we added a fungus called Brettanomyces. Now, Brettanomyces comes in, it's everywhere. It's all over everything around us. And it's something that a lot of brewers and a lot of winemakers work really hard to keep out of the beer. It's one of the reasons for the sanitation processes being what they are. But in a lot of your wild barrel-aged and funky sour beers, it's a bacteria that provides a really good and interesting depth of character when it's used right. So what we were really looking to highlight with that is two different specific strains of Brettanomyces, and seeing the impact that they would have on the same beer when used, when it was separated. So about 7 months ago, we released Siding with Chaos Against Good Order, which was the first of those, brewed with Brett B, Brettanomyces bruxellensis. And now, after another 7 months in stainless steel, this is been brewed with Brettanomyces clausenii, which presents a similar family of flavors, but it kind of comes across really differently. It's
they're pretty different beers. Yeah. And for all of you linguists out there or Latin speakers, obviously Brettanomyces you'll know means the British fungus, which is what the French refer to it as, and the bruxellensis annex on there is because it's the Brett you would get in Brussels. Yeah. And Brussels, of course, is very famous for a lot of these wild, funky beers. So you get beers like, lambic style beers, and then you get things like Flanders Reds and Oud Bruins, and so you got all these wild, funky things that are going on. But this Brett is kind of what all beer would have tasted like before old mate Louis Pasteur came along and he isolated different kinds of yeasts. And that's when brewers, specifically in Britain, got clever about getting brewer's yeast, which is a clean kind of yeast, although there's lots of character from various different strains of yeast. But this, the Brett character is famously in Orval, if you've had that before, one of my favourite beers in the world, a brilliant Belgian beer. And it's just such a unique and delicious flavour. And Brett beers really had a moment, maybe like 10 years ago, there are lots of brewers like mucking around doing interesting stuff with Brett, but it kind of, I guess people get bored of new toys, really.
Yeah.
And
but I think it's such a fantastic ingredient. It provides a really great depth of flavor, and from this I'm getting heaps of kind of flavors that weren't present in the base beer. So I've got kind of a really kind of musty straw, hay kind of I'm going to call it an agricultural vibe. It's got like flavors of kind of rock melon, Cape gooseberry. There's a kind of a little bit of a pineapple character in there. Though interestingly, one of the main features of Siding with Chaos Against Good Order, the previous Brett beer, was a really big, rich, dank pineapple character, which is slightly present in this, but it's much more restrained. And so, yeah, it provides a huge amount of depth of flavor. And one of the important things about it is this is a can-conditioned beer, so that character is going to keep changing and developing in the can. Brett is a really clever little microbe in the way that it eats absolutely everything. So we could call this beer low carb because there's no sugar left in it.
It is, yeah.
The Brett has eaten everything and turned it into all those delicious flavors. But the clever thing that Brett does is then it eats its own flavor production. It keeps going. It produces compounds that it can then eat again to turn into new flavor compounds and new flavor compounds. So all those hop flavors that are and hop oils that have been in the base beer have been converted into these fruit characters, and over the next few years you're going to see that continue to change and develop. So if there's any left, is there any left, Luke?
There is, absolutely.
Good, you can get some more and hang on to a few cans, keep them somewhere coolish, but not ice cold, not in the fridge, but somewhere cold, coolish and dark. And next year, the year after that, you're going to see these flavors morph and change, and sometimes it's going to get really kind of musty, dusty, barnyardy. Sometimes those fruit flavors are really going to pop and sing, and it's a beer that's going to go on a journey through its life, and you're rarely going to have it when it's tasting the same as it's tasting now. So right now it's fresh out of the tank, but in a year's time, 2 years' time, it's a live product, so it's really going to change and develop. Yeah,
I'll check the stocks, see what we've got, but we may put some on text beer next week if we have enough. Because yeah, as Matt says, it'd be a really cool thing for you to get 12 of and just to share with friends as time goes on. And Orval that I mentioned earlier, it is quite a different beer to this. I'm not going to compare it because Orval is the greatest beer in the world. And I'm not going to say that we've created something that on par with that. But Orval is enthusiasts favour a certain age. So you'll chat to geeks in Belgium and they will like Orval at 18 months old or at 3 months old. Because it, as Matt says, it changes so much. So you get really high-end bottle shops will actually stock up on Orval from different times, and they'll sell it at different ages, so you can have the one that you prefer. But yeah, really awesome to do two beers with Brett, and we also we stashed a few of these so we could sell them as a little mixed 6-pack. I think they may have sold out on the website. I'll have to check. Because just such a fun thing to compare the two beers when the only thing different being the variety of Brett that's in there, and just seeing what a difference that makes to the flavour. It's awesome.
Yeah, and then thematically, it's a fun little journey for the branding of these beers as well. So, as you know, our brewery is called Small Gods, which was inspired in part by both yeasts and wild funky bacteria like Brett. So, really exciting to be tying into our name now. And also Terry Pratchett.
Please don't sue us.
Please. So Terry Pratchett is a favourite author of ours.
Yeah.
And so the passage of text that you see on this, I should have brought the copy in, of this on these cans is one of the passages of text that got me excited about reading as a kid. There's so many cool little phrases in there. And you might notice, if the eagle-eyed amongst you might notice that the names of the original beers that preceded these, What Can the Harvest Hope For and The Care of the Reaper Man, is from this passage of text, as are the names Living with Intent to Survive and Siding with Chaos Against Good Order. So it's a fun little excerpt of text that you have to spin around the can to read it, but it's and probably doesn't mean a whole lot without context, but read the book. because one of the things that really impacted me when I read this book is you were reading along, and then on one of the pages, the last word of this passage took up half the page. It was like a normal book, and then there's just the word yes, like in big text, taking up like basically a whole page of the book. And I was like, what is this?
Innovation.
I didn't know books were allowed to do that. So yeah, it's a really fun and meaningful passage of text for me, with some really cool beer names in there.
We could probably just have a brewery with all of the beer names being plucked from this single paragraph. It's just so rich. There's just so much in there to discover. So if you didn't read the text on the side of Macal's Against Good Order, have a read while you're drinking your beer. Maybe we'll start putting epic poems in with our beers, or books of short stories.
And keep an eye out for more beers with names drawn from that passage of text coming at some point, maybe, if Luke will let me do it.
Easter eggs. Well, I hope you all enjoy this beer. I'm certainly enjoying it massively. You might have noticed we're drinking from a silver bullet. There was, during the canning run, the labels ran out, so I'm pretty happy that we've got quite a few unlabeled silver bullets that me and Matt are being forced to drink ourselves.
Oh no!
So yeah, a good beer that's just so that you could just drink again and again. And beers in the olden days maybe wouldn't have been too far from this. It would have shared a lot of similar flavour profiles. Yeah. And this definitely is a sort of beer that if just this was the only beer that poured out of a tap on a desert island forever, I'd be pretty happy drinking this.
Yeah, not too upset.
Yeah, good with food as well, just the sort of the lightness to it, the sharpness of it. It's going to go really well with fatty foods, right? Burgers, with cheese, with mussels. And
it's flavourful, but it's not a dominant flavour. It's something that's going to support and not get in the way. So it's, a beer that I'm a huge fan of, and I hope it's something that we might do something similar to again in the future. There are more strains of Brett out there, so maybe when we can find somewhere to put some more Brett beer down, Brett Pilsner number 3 maybe on the horizon. But I'm just bringing this on, Luke, right now as we speak, so we'll see how that goes.
I've been thinking about Brett Table beer.
I've been thinking about Brett Table beer.
Yeah. If you're a brewer watching, please make a Brett Table beer. I'd like to drink yours as well.
If you have any tank space and are willing to let us make a Brett Table beer, let us know.
yeah. Not in the comments though, just phone me up. Yeah. All right, next up, the Advent Calendar launched this week. So I'll say the Advent Calendar. It's the premium Beer Jack Advent Calendar, which is the famous one that we've been doing for many years. A few imitators have joined the scene in recent years, but they pale in comparison. They're nothing like the Beer Jack Premium Advent Calendar. So it's available right now on the Beer Jack website. Also, we have a cheaper one, which is the Favourites Advent Calendar, and we've got a cider Advent Calendar, and we've got a non-alc Advent Calendar. So something for everyone that likes beer and cider. So you can pre-order those. They are online right now. And back to Small Gods. We've been busy. We've been putting a few beers out recently that you may see some coming up in the boxes. What's this, Matt?
This is a Roggen beer. What's a Roggen beer, Luke?
So we've met. I've got a real passion and enthusiasm for historic German beer styles. Roggen beer is a historic German beer style, and it's sort of like Roggenbrot, like rye bread. So it's the beer version of rye bread. So it's beautiful, malty, layered, 5.4%. Bit of a classic ale that I'm really going to enjoy drinking a lot of this springtime, and it's called Hexenhaus, which you probably know this already, but it's German for witch's house. So I had a lot of fun with this label and this spooky little witch in the forest.
Yeah, so inspired by kind of like a German rye bread. It's got 3 different varieties of rye in there, plus traditional German noble hops. So it's a real classic German rye beer. It's really big, full-bodied, complex, light layers of spice. It's a really grown-up beer for grown-ups who like beer. So
there's no adjuncts, nothing silly in there.
It's traditional and delicious.
I don't think I've had a Roggen beer from a New Zealand brewer.
I'd have to think about it.
There's few and far between.
Ribbon the Red, was that a Roggen beer?
I don't think, no.
Okay.
No, it's Belgian.
Anyway,
well, this may be coming up in the box, so I'll chat more about it then.
What's that, Luke?
Oh, this is a beer that is not coming up in the Beer of the Week box. This is Pukwudgie. Tell me about Pukwudgie, Matt.
So Pukwudgie is a Californian double IPA. So we've seen a trend recently of IPAs out of California really stripping back on the malt base, kind of a really kind of light, bright malt base of mostly Pilsner, a little bit of wheat and stuff like that. And then we've loaded that up with a bunch of delicious, freshly arrived hops. So that is Strata, Cryo Strata, Eldorado, Cryo Eldorado, and a Mochueka hop keef, which is a new hop product out of Freestyle Hops down in Nelson, which is really exciting. And so it's a double IPA with a really kind of clean, lean, bright base, big, fruity, tropical punch on there. It's got kind of, your traditional mango, melon, pineapple, passion fruit in that hop character. Nice level of bitterness to it, not over the top, but enough to give you a kind of whack on the back of the palate to let you know you're drinking a real double IPA. What's a Pukwudgie, Luke?
Well, it's in our series of monster beers, which are all cold IPA type beers that have a light lager malt base, basically. So there's the Mothman that you may have had and enjoyed recently. That was a North American one with American light lager sort of base. There was the Basa Basa, that was like a Japanese rice lager base. And there was Chupacabra, which was the first one that we did.
It's a Mexican cold IPA with Neo Mexicanos hops and a Mexican lager base.
Yeah, so Pukwudgie is a mythical North American goblin sprite type character that hates people and can wield fire and will fuck you up if it comes across you in the forest. So watch out for dangerous Pukwudgies.
And they're very small.
yeah, they're tiny, yeah. So yeah, these are some more Small Gods beers to come. So lots happening with ideas whirring and things fermenting at Small Gods.
Yeah, so we've got a couple new beers going down next week, and then it's time to brew our Christmas beers. So I think we'll have like 5 more beers coming out this year. So keep an eye out for that, and we're already making plans for next year as well. So heaps of great Small Gods beers to come.
And we've still hardly told people about the Turn, about Mordred. It's hard to keep up.
We made an Imperial Stout with a ton of malt and a dark table beer. Get those too, they're yum.
Small Gods mixed case, you can grab it at the BOTW website.
That's the way.
All right, thank you so much for joining us this week. Thank you, Matt. Cheers. See you next time.
See ya. Well, I won't.